Foul play in fry fight. Now, I understand that's a tongue twister, but it's foul play in fry fight. This is the focus group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
So against my better judgment, John, I did that opening, the foul play in fry fight, because I had this story about somebody who killed a seagull and caught my eye. And I ran it through AI. I ran the stories through and it said, oh, this would be the best, catchiest headline. And even trying to say it, foul play in fry fight. I don't know. I thought it was a little bit difficult. So anyway, that's what that was about.
Tongue twister.
Tongue twister. So, hey, thanks for joining us here on TFG Unbuttoned. As always, I'm here with...
That was on the other day.
Are we?
We're on focus group now.
Oh, I'm reading the wrong thing. So here we are in the focus group. Focus group on Button. It's all the same, isn't it? Basically, you get one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's all
Tim and John. And but find all of us and all of our shows, including Unbuttoned, at focusgroupradio.com. How the focus group works is John and I catch up with you with some banter. Then we each have a story that caught our eye. We do our signature segment, our business birthday. And then we do some shop talk at the end, which is sometimes business focused, sometimes cultural, sometimes career, kind of whatever strikes our fancy. Sometimes I find it hard to find stories for that. You seem to do a better job than I finding stories for Shop Talk.
For Shop Talk? It might just be the way our feeds are set up in terms of what stories are being shown, right?
Yeah, you're probably right. Have you seen the, what is showing, anything weird show up in your feeds lately?
No, except this, which I was going to share with everybody, and I shared with Bob, and he was laughing hysterically. Have you heard of the phrase doing an Alpine?
No.
Okay. This was a new one on me. Apparently,
doing an Alpine.
Yes, it's when someone wants to leave their partner. They invite them to go on a hike.
Ooh, I see.
I see where this is going. Off a cliff, and they call it doing an Alpine. So it's popped up. So I read this article. It might have been in BuzzFeed or People magazine, but it was like the Gen Z. I think it was a new catchphrase, like catches people off guard. Are you going to do an Alpine? You want to leave that relationship? Do an Alpine. And it just means you take someone up on a high trail, and when no one's around except a grizzly bear, you bye-bye. Oh, they slipped.
Don't go hiking, John.
So in other words, if someone invites you on an Alpine hike and you think there might be trouble in the relationship, I would maybe not go on that hike. So that's doing an Alpine.
That's scary. I guess it's like pushing somebody down the steps. Wasn't it that attorney in South Carolina? I forget his name. It was a couple of years ago during the pandemic. Mysteriously, the wife was killed, then the maid was killed. They've all seemed to have fallen down the steps. We could call it a Putin. Doesn't Putin seem to have people fall off things?
They either get poisoned or they fall off balconies. Why were they on the balcony to begin with, right?
Yeah. So it's a Putin or an Alpine. No, I never heard the Alpine, but you do see these stories now and then where the husband and wife or the family was somewhere and maybe one of them fell off the boat fishing or something like this happens. And then you find out that one of them had a secret love life, and it's why not just get divorced?
Which would be much easier. And Bob and I think it might have been Saturday night or Friday night. We might have fallen into 48 Hours, one of those investigative shows. Yeah. And they profiled a woman whose husband passed away abruptly. I think she has 2 kids. Then she wrote a book about his passing, about dealing with the grief. She was on local channel. It was a self-published book. And then she was arrested later on by the police. And they suspected her that she had in fact had killed her husband, and she went to trial. I think when we left the show, she was at trial, and they discovered that he had in his system an insane amount of fentanyl.
Wow.
And he was not a drug user. He didn't, so they now suspect that it was foul play. But my God, talk about if that's the case went that way and she's convicted, imagine keeping a straight face and keeping that all in while you're selling a book you wrote about processing grief with your children, about the husband you actually killed.
Killed him. I thought of you over the weekend. I went on Amazon Prime and I watched Hollywood Hustler. Have you watched that?
No.
So it's a young guy and his bride.
Is this new?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
It came out October 2025, so it's new.
Yeah.
And it's about a young guy who was very charismatic, I guess, frat boy from Indiana University, and had convinced everybody that he had a relationship with Howard Schultz from Starbucks and some other famous people along the way. So the guy that was head of Netflix and some of these other Hollywood. So aside from business with Howard Schultz, some power brokers, and created this huge Ponzi scheme where he collected close to $700 million. Wow. His wife never knew. His friends didn't know that he had brought on to this Ponzi scheme. And it's only three episodes. And
so it's a series, like a limited series.
Little series. I don't know how I watched it through. I just couldn't figure out. I sensed right away maybe he didn't have a relationship with these people, but he had it so planned out. And what his wife, or his ex-wife now, had said that she doesn't know how he kept it all together, because he would have emails come in. He set these things up where he had some sort of program where emails would come in from Howard Schultz or emails would come in from other people to make it act like they were financing or they were investing in monies or whatever. And so it was very believable. And they invited these people to his wedding. He just said, oh, they don't like to mix business with pleasure. And so all these people thought he had all of these very famous people around him that were investing in his programs. And it was just a big Ponzi scheme. So he's in jail. He got 20 years. And
Wow.
He had a mistress in Vegas, big-titted mistress in a leopard print. His wife was very nice, typical Midwestern kind of farm girl. The mistress was just as you'd expect.
Vegas.
Oh my God. Fake everything. She should be down in Mar-a-Lago. She had the fake lips, the fake boobs, the fake butt, 10-inch heels, the whole show. And she's hoping when he gets out that he's going to find her and they're going to get together. Wife has moved on, of course.
All right. So this was called Hollywood Hustler.
Hollywood Hustler. Yeah. I would say the
Tim,
quality is probably a B-level documentary.
I still find, yeah.
I think you'll
So
find.
here's the thing: you wonder how he made this work. Think about how people are when it comes to celebrity and money.
Yeah,
they don't. I think they lose their ability to be rational when they think they're around someone who's connected, who's the golden boy. And if you're unscrupulous and you're clever enough to realize that people are that selfish and greedy, play it for all it's worth, right?
Yeah, well, he showed up with a Lamborghini one day, and again,
there you go.
He shows up with this Lamborghini that costs $300,000 or whatever the number was, and as soon as he takes the cover off the car, he's with his friends or whatever. A text comes in from Howard Schultz from Starbucks.
Ah.
Enjoy it, buddy. You deserve it. This is all for you for helping out. Blah blah blah. So, yeah. What his wife said, I think the most telling thing for me in the whole documentary was she said she doesn't know how he went to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Because his whole life was a lie. There was not one thing that was truthful about him, and she doesn't know how he functioned or slept. But they said he was a mini Bernie Madoff. It was that sort of thing. So
I love stumbling on stuff like that, by the way. I'm gonna check it out and we're gonna enjoy it. Would each episode maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes?
Yeah, probably 40, 45 minutes.
Okay.
What I was going there for is I was looking for a documentary about Steve Gladstone, who's a very famous rowing coach. He was a coach at Berkeley and also a coach at Brown and a coach at Yale. And just even if you don't like rowing, he's just quite a mentor, quite a coach and competitor and philosopher in many ways. But anyway, you had to pay. I was cheap. I think you had to pay $3.99 for it. So I said no. So that's how I stumbled onto Hollywood Hustler.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't, which I don't know why. But now some people would say $3.99,
You're already
You can't buy a thing of gum for that.
You're already paying 100 something for Prime, right? So for Prime measure.
Now, John, I thought of you. You see this glass?
Yeah.
So I found this in the back of the cabinet. I got this probably 30 years ago from Martina Navratilova for Christmas.
Did you really? Okay.
Set of glasses. I use them once in a while. Richard really thinks they're quite special. They're heavy. I guess they're like a rocks glass. Anyway, I've got my seltzer in them. So I thought of you when I was pouring this. I was like, oh, this was back in the day when people gave little gifts, and we were doing the Subaru story.
Back in the day, indeed. Yeah.
So thank you, Martina. She doesn't talk to us now, but thank you. It's very good. So, Mr. Nash, without further ado, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
It's funny you were talking about a documentary, because what caught my eye this week is a mockumentary. And we need to thank Bob for this one, because we have HBO as some streaming channels on our Spectrum cable bundle upstate. And we happened upon something called Tour de Pharmacy. And we start watching it and we're laughing hysterically, and I'm kind of doing whatever. And then Bob does something where he pushes the button and it automatically restarted. It has this ability to restart. And I was pissed for a minute. I'm like, I don't want to watch this right now. I'm so glad he did, because we began watching this thing. It's about 40 minutes. As a cyclist and someone who knows cycling, this thing is over the top. And here, I'll just read it to you. It's called Tour de Pharmacy. On the first day of the 1982 Tour de France, Italian cyclist Juju Pepe, played by Orlando Bloom, accidentally causes a pileup after attempting to grope a bikini-clad female spectator, which causes a massive brawl to break out between all the other cyclists, postponing the race until further notice. Police find evidence of narcotics being used by the cyclist, and it is revealed that UCI President Dietmar Klurkin, played by Kevin Bacon, accepted bribes of $50,000 each from a majority of the competitors to forego preliminary drug testing. Although all the cyclists are suspected of doping, the UCI allows the tour to continue with 5 competitors who didn't pay off Klurkin. Pepe, Orlando Bloom, American-born Nigerian cyclist Marty Haas, who's played by Andy Samberg, who is resented by Nigeria for being the one to represent the country. French cyclist Adrienne Baton, Freddie Highmore, who is secretly a woman named Adriana Baton, disguised as a man so she can compete. African-American cyclist Slim Robinson, played by David Diggs, he was in Hamilton, nephew of Jackie Robinson, who wants to break the color barrier in cycling like Jackie did in baseball, and Austrian cyclist Gustav Ditters, John Senna, who had gained a considerable amount of muscle mass from the previous year due to steroids. This thing, we actually laughed from start to finish. There was very little that we didn't laugh at, because they had one clip of this guy, I think it was Juju Pepe, the Orlando Bloom character. His head is down on the handlebars. The bike flies by, and you hear the announcer go, "Oh my God, he's been passed out for 12 kilometers." And then Bob had
how old is this? Is it new?
Oh, this is from 2017, I think.
Oh, okay. So we should have known about it.
Or 2018. I should call this up and tell you where it's from, because how did I miss this? In fact, if you're watching on YouTube, it's 2017. It says, "How did I miss this?" is the caught your eye thing. John Cena is like jacked up, it's so the guy that the one where I just said, but the announcer goes, "Well, he's just flown by. He's been passed out for 12 kilometers on his bike." And then they show this side picture, and then you hear the announcer go, "And his dick's hanging out." There was some guy that was wearing breathable Lycra, which was basically see-through and naked. I mean, I can't even, they were clearly having a lot of fun making this. So it is Tour de Pharmacy, a lot of fun, mockumentary of the level of Spinal Tap, Best in Show, that kind of thing. Shorter, but very, very funny.
You know what, John, as you're saying this, I'm thinking, although as a sidebar, we probably would have to talk about it off stage, but wouldn't it be fun to do a mockumentary about the Subaru Gay campaign?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of funny things that happen there too, right?
Yeah. Well, of course, you and I have signed other things saying maybe we can't, but I think
a mockumentary could be kind
of
By
funny.
the way, Tim, We signed a couple things. Where is that going exactly? We didn't sign anything yet.
Well, no, you're right. We talked.
Yeah.
A lot of talking. A lot of talk.
I thought you were going to do a mockumentary about the Dalwhinnie thing.
Well, we could do that too. Well, that was going to be the musical.
That's a musical. That's going to be like Priscilla Queen of the Desert.
You've got to see if you can find that. I had a hint of brilliance, I thought, when I did the initial.
You did a playlist.
Initial playlist, and I can't find it. And it was based upon you and I talking.
Did you do it on YouTube? Did you make a YouTube playlist?
No, I did. I thought I sent it to you. You'll
you did send a text, and it had.
I could never find it.
Every song was corresponding to every stage of that project we were on, and it got funny. Well, of course, what kicked it all off was Bandy and the Jet.
Yeah.
All right.
You know that farm sold. I sent you that, right?
Yes.
So the pot people are done.
Right? Yeah, gone.
Done. Well, that's what happens. Everybody gets their day, John.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that how it works? Everyone gets theirs.
They do.
So so that's a good one. I'll have to look for that. So is it kind of in the spirit of Best in Show, that sort of thing?
Totally. Totally. It is totally over the top.
A little more farcical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine was based upon the opening of the show, the foul play and fry fight. So there was a New Jersey guy in Wildwood, North Wildwood. New Jersey dad was at the beach at the Surfside Pier. The guy's name is Franklin Ziegler. Good-looking guy. He was at Maury's Pier and Beachfront Water Park in North Wildwood in July of 2024 when anyone who knows this, who goes to the beach or goes to, as they say in New Jersey, the shore, the seagulls like to come and steal the food and steal the French fries. So his daughter had this plate of French fries, and seagull came down and took her fry, and he caught the seagull and ripped the head off of the bird right there in front of everybody at the beach. So he decapitated the seagull, and he ends up getting arrested. And so he has to go in front of a court or whatever, and they fined him $250 plus they gave him 262 days in jail. So he just got out this last Thursday. He got out and he's now on special probation and has to go to outpatient treatment. And Doll Stanley, who is a head or a campaigner in the Defense of Animals Justice Coalition, is very upset. She said this was just a slap on the wrist. This was a serious felony. Animal lovers, too, had complained that this was brutal torture that he committed in broad daylight in front of children, and he should have gotten more than a year. She said this was disgusting. So anyway, he ripped the head. Can you imagine? He ripped the head off the seagull. He caught it, which I think is even more remarkable.
Yeah.
But don't ever go down. I don't know if you haven't done it here, but even in Rehoboth, we watch the people, they get their big thing of fries or something. They're new to the whole scene, and the gulls just come. And they just come and they start attacking, and they're trying to get the fries. So he killed the bird.
So I think it's gruesome, right?
Yeah.
Like he ripped the head off the gull?
Yeah, decapitated the gull, ripped the head off, and then was walking around. So they said he decapitated the seagull because it tried to eat his daughter's French fries. So he got 8 months in jail, plus he's charged with third-degree felony, and then he had this fine. But they said when he had decapitated the gull, and then he didn't know what to do, so he's looking for a plastic bag or something to put it in to throw it away. And that's when somebody called, and he got arrested, and then he had to go to court, and he pled guilty. And but the animal rights people say, it wasn't enough. But still, he spent 262 days in jail. I mean, that ruins your life, right? He's only 30. He's 30 years old.
Got a record, and he served time.
What'd you do?
And he does a job
interview. You ever
interview.
been charged with a felony? Yes. What'd you do? I decapitated a gull down the Wildwood. She's taking my daughter's French fries.
You know, that's how he has to actually say that, right? He has to actually come out and say that.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. So anyway, I thought that was quite interesting.
It's a good one, Tim. It's both of ours are sort of, well, I don't know about decapitating a gull compared to a mockumentary about the cycling world, but they're both kind of out there, right?
Yeah, they're both out there. Speaking of out there, we've got our business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
Born March 24th, 1939 as Robert Gordon Mackie. You know him as Bob Mackie. Happy 87th. He's 87 years old, American fashion designer and costumer. He's best known for costumier. He's best known for his dressing of numerous entertainment personalities for television, movies, concerts, and live stage. He was the costume designer for all the performances and performers on the Carol Burnett Show for the entire 11-year run. He was also the creator of some of the most memorable ensembles for Cher and Elton John. He was referred to as the Sultan of Sequins, the Raja of Rhinestones, and the Guru of Glitter. And he often said, "A woman who wears my clothes is not afraid to be noticed." He also partnered with Mattel for Barbie dolls to give them a real-life look and also introduce cultural diversity to the Barbie line. He's won Primetime Emmy Awards, Tony Awards, and Academy Awards for Best Costume Design. He was born in Monterey Park, California, raised by his grandparents, went to Pasadena City College for only a year, then went to Chouinard Art Institute, or Chouinard. I was trying to I looked it up. There's a French way, which would be Chouinard, and the Americans say Chouinard. So it's the Art Institute out in California. And he got an early sketch job for the guy that was working with Marlene Dietrich. And he wound up meeting Edith Head, who was the head designer at Paramount Studios. And he said, "She didn't teach me much about designing, but she taught me how to handle producers, directors, and actors. She had superb public relations." One of his first assignments was he had to do the sketch for Marilyn Monroe's dress for the 1962 President Kennedy birthday celebration at Madison Square Garden. Then he was hired by 1966 Mitzi Gaynor to design all of her show gowns and outfits at the Riviera in Las Vegas. It was his very first star client, and he said he designed the whole show. He was hired in 1969 to design all the costumes for Diana Ross and the Supremes and the Temptations. He did Elton John's iconic Donald Duck, the sequin Los Angeles Dodgers, the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart concert costumes were all designed by him. Of course, Cher, all of her ensembles were done by Mackie. He also designed costumes for Whitney Houston. And then recently, again, they said all of Cher's current latest tours. She's had about 15 going away tours, hasn't she?
Yes.
And so he's done them all for that. The Palm Springs Museum has a lot of the clothing on display there, particularly, which I always loved, the Carol Burnett one where she did Gone with the Wind, and it was the curtain rod through there. Yep. He also did, remember Mrs. Wiggins, Wanda Wiggins, the tight skirt
Mrs.
secretary.
Wiggins, yeah.
Did that, of course. And the Norman Desmond stuff. They said he has created other notable clients. And so this list is just actually hilarious, I think, because I can't imagine having this as your legacy, which is quite a legacy. Anne Margaret, Lucille Ball, Diane Carroll, Carol Channing, Miley Cyrus, Doris Day, Marlene Dietrich, Barbara Eden, Lola Falana, Beyonce, Farrah Fawcett, Judy Garland, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Madonna, Marilyn May, Bette Midler, Liza Minnelli, the Osmonds, Dolly Parton, Pink, Barbra Streisand, Donna Summer, Tina Turner, Oprah Winfrey, and RuPaul.
Jeez.
Can you imagine?
He basically has every...
He's had his finger on culture
Pop
in the way...
culture.
Yeah. He married a woman named Lulu Porter in 1960. They had a son who had passed away of an AIDS-related disease. They divorced after 3 years, and then he was with, since 1963, a significant other was a designer, also a costume designer, named Ray I can't pronounce it right, but his name was Ray Aghayan, I believe, Aghayan. He's Iranian. And they were together until Ray's death in 2011. And so, as I said, countless awards, really a part of pop culture, put in all kinds of different... They talked about Love Boat and even the Simpsons cartoons and all kinds of things where he was awarded. So happy birthday to Bob Mackie.
It's an excellent business birthday. And he, as an individual, right, is threaded through popular television and film, through all these amazing women. So I think it's a perfect one.
Yeah, when I read the list, I knew you always know him most famously for Cher, probably.
Yes.
And then other people you would hear about along the way. But when you see that list, It's just unbelievable.
Did she call him out by name on her stage shows when Cher would she mention something by Bob Mackie? Would she say that? I knew it was in the program, but when we saw her at Caesars in Vegas, I knew it was in the program that all the costumes were him. But
when they said at one of the Academy Awards when Cher was going to come out, Jane Fonda said, "Wait till you see what's coming out next," because it was the one where he had remember he would just have the feathers just covering her breasts. I mean, she was really. Some of Cher's outfits were quite daring, I guess, and she played it up. And what was it Liberace always said, that you want the focus to be on you when you come out on stage, not on somebody else. So
he gave that advice to Elvis Presley too. Right?
Elvis, yeah, come out in the loudest. Everyone's going to be in black tuxedo. Put all your band in black, and then you're going to come out in a costume, and the attention's going to be to you.
He knew what he was doing, right?
Yeah, knew what he was doing. And Cher took heart of that as well.
Excellent business birthday, Bob Mackie. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we have a shop talk. Tim, did you tease this at the beginning?
No.
All right, so the shop.
I did the foul, fry, fight. The bird decapitation was my.
That's what that was. It was, yeah. You did bird decapitation. Shop talk is about. The article looks at a woman who has spent I don't know how long trying to find a job, and I think it's a metaphor for all of that. So we'll be right back after this quick break.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Focus Group. Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. Be sure to follow along with us all week at focusgroupradio.com. And you can download all of our programming there, including our Tuesday podcast, TFG Unbuttoned. John, you had sent me something before we do Shop Talk. You had sent me something from somebody that mentioned the chimps thing, that T-shirt. I thought that was pretty funny.
I think that was, I could tell you who that was, one of our listeners. You were talking about
Chimp Empire, which was on Netflix. Yeah.
That crazy program.
Those chimps will kill you.
That's what you said. And he did this thing. Let me tell you what he did. He did a T-shirt, and he basically did the graphic was the chimps are here's how it goes. Oh, his name is Michael. After listening to your show where Tim said the apes are not happy, I got inspired and made this T-shirt. Thanks for the inspiration. So he has, it just says the apes are not happy, and it's left to right, like chimpanzee, and then Evolution. It goes up to Cro-Magnon, like then it's, walking on and it's a guy walking with an iPhone. But this was in relation to you watching that horrific nature show where they literally just chronicle the chimp behavior, right?
Right. I think it's 3 or 4 episodes, and I believe it's called Chimp Empire. It's still on Netflix. It was the first one. I thought, oh, these are pretty cool animals. They're pretty smart. But by the time the third one came, these animals seek revenge. They have a long memory, and they'll eat you alive. So be careful of the chimps. That's all I'm going to tell you. But I think you should watch it. You haven't watched it yet, have you?
No. Actually, we did. I take that back. We watched part of it, and then we stopped, and I was like, oh, my God. Because, hey, these are our direct ancestors, right? And if they act like that, why are we surprised the way we act?
Yeah, well, I think that's what frightened me more. I thought they could take over, just like Planet of the Apes.
You blew it all up.
So anyway, our Shop Talk focus group this week is, John had found this. It says, laid off from Morgan Stanley, struggling to find work and pay bills. This woman, her name is Valerie Lockhart. She was a full-time employee at Morgan Stanley. She thought everything was going quite well. This was March 2025, and she was supposed to have a meeting with her boss. And she said when she walked in and saw the HR person sitting there, she thought, uh-oh, I wonder what's going on here. And then lo and behold, finds out, not unlike a lot of other people we know are friends of probably many of you listening or yourself, ends up getting laid off. And unbeknownst to her, And she was the breadwinner of the family, husband and kids. And then she talks about kind of how it unfolded from there, even though she was given a very modest severance. But she wasn't there that long, only since 2023. So this was 2 years in healthcare for an extra month. But she talked about her struggle in trying to find a job. And she said, I just didn't do it willy-nilly. She actually applied for over 500 jobs and said she put thought into them, even changed her LinkedIn profile, but still did not have very much luck. And unfortunately, this is more, at least for me and my friends I've talked to, seems to be more of the rule rather, or this seems to be pretty common.
This is the norm.
The norm. That's what I was trying to say, yeah.
So she applied for over 500 jobs. And here's the thing that I think the reason that I picked this and that Tim is talking about it is, you know, there's all these things online, how to trick the systems that read your resume, you know, type that six point type in white or make it transparent so the AI reads that you have the job description down, whatever. LinkedIn, Indeed, all the websites, all the custom cover letters, all the fiddling around with your resume. When we were younger, we had one resume, and that's what was mailed out in a number 10 envelope, maybe with a cover letter to discuss the job you were applying for. But it wasn't that you had to do a resume every time you sent it out. And out of the 550 or 500 or so jobs that she applied for, she only heard back from about 25. And most of those were thank you, but no thank you. So what is someone to do when you're stuck in this situation? Because you're following all the advice you hear, right?
Right.
And yet because I think we all know a couple things now. The jobs that people put online on LinkedIn, Indeed, et cetera, are required for the company to do that. Whether or not they intend to fill it, that's another matter entirely, right? And then we also know that the minute someone does put a job up, what is it? 150 to 200 resumes flood in within 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, I have friends that were recruiters that actually would take the job down right away because they would be swamped because it's so easy to just apply. As you said, remember back in the day, you actually had to either type out a letter or type out the envelope and put thought into applying for a job. Now you can just click. And I have friends I had one friend of mine, she was looking for somebody, I believe it was Williams-Sonoma. She said she had over 10,000 resumes within a half hour and she just shut it down. She says, I can't possibly go through them. You know, she couldn't go through that many. And so, yeah. But in this case, I'm with you on this because I sense she's in her 40s. She said, I feel like some companies are looking for the unicorn candidate, meaning they don't exist. And she's told she's either underqualified or overqualified. She, I guess because she was having trouble, they had some home repair that had popped up, unexpected expenses. They started a GoFundMe campaign, much to her hesitation, and shared it on LinkedIn. She said they only raised a few $100s. It wasn't enough to cover the full cost of the repairs needed. But I thought, gosh, to get to the point where you're doing a GoFundMe and the whole thing, I was wondering why her husband didn't work, but maybe he was a stay-at-home dad. It didn't go into that, but she's found some contract work, but she's still looking for a full-time gig. And I don't know what you do. And unless you have to say to yourself, Richard and I have a couple of friends that have been out of work over 2 years and still looking for work, and their jobs really just don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
About what they did since the pandemic. Some of them were around event marketing or hospitality sort of jobs that I guess companies just aren't doing what they used to do in terms of gathering people together as much as they used to. And I've said to both of them, you're going to have to try to find something else. But that's easy to say to somebody, right?
I don't know. And again, there seems to be a whole industry designed to tell you how to do it right. Maybe you have to pay someone like Tim. You and I have actually paid to have our resumes done.
Yeah.
And whatever we did, and whatever those documents ended up being, and this was several years ago, like they were useless in the end, right?
Yes. Well, what I found odd, you and I would have never, and maybe this was our problem. She essentially had us inventing the wheel, right? In some ways. But when I actually read what was written, it was almost like somebody doing your fortune, telling your fortune, that it could have been for anybody. Strategic thinker.
Libra man is hard to find. Yeah.
But, strategic thinker working for Fortune 500 companies in consumer products. Well, that could be anybody, right? So when I actually read what was written, and some of it I thought was a little bit pushing it. It was pushing it a little bit too, in some ways of what we did or didn't do. And then the other thing was I thought it had I know you love brevity. It had far too much copy.
Yep.
People don't read. People spend about 6 seconds on your resume, is what they say. They scan, they look for title. If the title pops out, then they might look at it. But even myself, I remember years ago when I would interview people, I would do the same thing. I'd look at title, companies they worked for, and if something stuck out, I put it to the side. But I rarely went through every exact little word that was written. And I know people spend time, particularly now, as you said, with LinkedIn. They tell you that for every job, you should do a custom resume and make it fit the job description. And it's a lot of work. Yeah. But it's also, I guess you could have AI do your resumes now too, which was even another scarier thing.
Actually, you can. And it does. I'll tell you this, it does a better job than we paid 5 years ago for. I gave that document that we got from the person who did the resumes for us to my friend Mike, who's an editor and a writer, and also he's kind of a master at finding jobs. He's been successful with that. What he sent back to me within an hour, I was shocked. It had at the top of the resume, it had 3 or 4 bullet points: entrepreneur, creative director. And then the rest of it, he had redone everything, made it, as you just said, a lot shorter. And then he sent in his note, he said, you need to fill in numbers of how much you were responsible for adding to the bottom line of a company, or did that campaign contribute to ROI? And I'm like, in advertising, if someone advertised Wrigley's Spearmint chewing gum, and you are the creative director on the campaign, could you ever put a number to how many packs of gum you sold? No, right?
No, I guess not. But they want to see numbers. So you could say,
they want to see.
Grew the business. Our business grew by 15%. I don't know. What I know a lot of people claim lesbian safe Subaru, not the case.
No, correct.
It was part of an overall niche marketing program. Mm-hmm. But you can't say that lesbian safe Subaru. I see that all the time on TikTok and all the social media stuff. It's just not true. It's a part of the puzzle, but not the full story. So, I don't know. I've thought about this. I actually thought about going back to teach. Not going back to teach. I've never taught, but I actually thought about going to be a substitute teacher or an adjunct.
Okay.
And even that's onerous to try to apply for something like that. I found I started doing it and then I just kind of stopped. You have to
At
go
least
through all
it's not
kinds
as bad as when you took the GMATs and you fell asleep.
Oh my God. And I got a 7 or whatever the number was. And then it sent it to all the schools. Of course I didn't get in it. That's when I came back from Hawaii. I took the red eye in and then went right to I still remember it was a story about dinosaurs. And I fell asleep reading it. 7 a.m, Philadelphia, 5th and Market, taking this test. Holly thought it was hilarious. She got into Wharton. I got into nothing.
Know. Your head just hit the keyboard and a couple of letters went on the screen.
Woke up and then I hit the thing. Submit your score. Kick. I didn't even answer one question.
But on the computer,
$900.
Yeah, that was a pretty expensive thing to get a 7, God. Right?
And,
But on the computer thing, I'm reminded of your friend who's interviewed basically staring at a computer screen.
AI interview. Yeah. It's a PowerPoint pops up and you have to look at they told her you have to look at the camera and be engaged, because the camera is deciding whether you are worthy or not based upon how your eye movement is or how engaged you are with the conversation. My favorite one was when our friend Brian was interviewing for, might have been Sony, some company up in North Jersey. And he said the HR woman, they're having their interview, and then all of a sudden, like, knock, knock, knock on the door. It was DoorDash arrived. And she took a Post-it note and put it over the camera, then proceeded to have her lunch while she was talking with him. He said she starts eating, and then she puts a Post-it note over the camera. He just was like, I couldn't imagine working there. But yeah, you hear crazy stuff. But
and the flip side is, I read this article by a woman who was a recruiter, and she set up a Zoom interview with a candidate who was a programmer. The screen comes on, and he's sitting in a bedroom, basically almost in pajamas. And there's like a pizza box on the bed. There's a soda can. Like, it was a mess, right? It was like a man cave kind of thing. And she said in the article, she said, I had to suffer through 20 minutes of questions, even though I knew just the way he presented himself on the Zoom that he was never going to be a fit for the company. Works both ways.
Can you imagine doing that? Can you imagine? I even shave as we do. If you're going to have a Zoom meeting with somebody, you dress as if you're in their office, right? You put on a shirt.
I agree. I totally agree.
Hopefully you have a pair of pants on, but you put on a shirt at least, and you shave and you clean up. And yeah, now I'm shocked the way some people present themselves, but
I just think, and we've talked about this job and interview and resume crap before. This whole system denies a recruiter or a company hiring the ability to make a surprise discovery about a candidate. Someone comes in physically and they make a great impression, and someone says, I don't think they know how to use the software we're using, but I bet they can learn really quick and they're going to be a great contributor. Like, that seems to be gone now.
Yeah, hire for attitude, and you can train for skill. I mean, that was one of the successes I believe I had at Subaru, because people that well, John Regini's a good case of that. I mean, on paper, if you just looked at his resume, would not be qualified. But when I actually read about what he did do, and I understood more, because he had this picture about, who he was as a person. And I remember saying to the HR, she's like, well, he doesn't have any auto experience and doesn't have this and doesn't have that. I said, there's just something about the way his background is that I think he would do well. And sure enough, he did. He's now president of some company out in Minnesota, a big Norwegian company that does water purification or something. But he's gone on to do quite well after Subaru. He went to GE and then
that's right,
and then moved along. And there was famously Todd, who was the animal husbandry major. Again, nothing to do with auto. Holly, who had birdhouse architecture, ends up at Wharton. But they all had something about their background, like you said, that kind of discovery of talking to somebody that in today's world would never have gotten through the AI bot or the word.
And I
bot.
don't know that there's any way to game the system anymore. There's all these little tricks that people try, like I mentioned at the top of the article, cutting and pasting the entire job description into your resume as 6-point type, hiding it as making it white so that the system actually reads it, but you don't see it. They know that stuff now. The minute you think you're going to trick the system, they'll figure it out. It's kind of sad.
Well, there was a time I had sent out I guess we both have sent out a bunch of resumes, but rarely will you hear anything. Or if you do, it's like you said, there's a couple of times I know you would go on these interviews and halfway through you're just like, this isn't going to be a fit. You just knew right away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did get very close on one, and this is many years ago. It was to be a marketing guy for a nonprofit. They ended up going, I was one of the last two people, or I was one of the candidates they were thinking about. They ended up going with somebody else who had a very like social media savvy, supposedly background. That person lasted 2.5 months. And I called the recruiter up because I noticed the job popped up again. I said, look, I'm not calling to be a part of that again. Oh, no, you wouldn't want to be, because they had the correct candidate. They didn't hire. Then she was referring to me. Who knows what happened with that? I mean, I just shrug. How do you know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had the same experience. While I was at Subaru, I got contacted by a recruiter to be the CMO of the National Hockey League.
I remember this, Tim. I remember this.
And I'd gone to the interviews, and I was down. It was between myself and another person who happened to be in Missouri, and I was out of Philadelphia. And they ended up hiring him because he'd come from a big beverage company or something. So they thought it was sports and beverage, blah, blah, blah. He was petrified of Manhattan. So he tries to move to Manhattan, and didn't last a month. And because he couldn't function. So I did. I called them up and I said, how? The same sort of thing. I called the recruiter. I said, what happened? Oh, he realized maybe New York City wasn't for him. I said, mm-hmm. And I just kind of left it at that.
And the recruiter doesn't get paid. I mean, if you don't last 5 or 6, there's some kind of time frame, right?
You have to fill it for free after a year. Yeah, if you don't stay a year, they've got it. So they had to refill it for free. And it would have been, they probably saw through me a little bit. I am not a hockey fan. So it would have been a difficult job for me, I think.
Okay.
Just because I think I would have done better at maybe football if it was NFL.
You watch football, yeah.
Right, but for hockey, I just I couldn't tell you who won the Stanley Cup last year. I have zero interest in any of the, right? I think can't see the puck on TV, it goes too fast. So I don't watch hockey, so it would have been a tough gig for me. Although it paid outrageous money.
Oh, I'm sure. And you know what you could have done for the interview, Tim? You could have come in with blacked out teeth, and you could have said, "Oh, I was on the ice this weekend. I had my 2 fronts taken out. Oh, he's our guy." Yeah. They're like, what happened? Oh, I was on the ice. I took a puck to the mouth. Wow. Okay, you're our guy. You play.
Their office was only like a block away from where we were at Sirius.
It was on 6th Avenue. It was on that major.
Unbelievable office and the whole
In
deal.
fact, Tim, I heard that story from you when we were leaving Sirius one day. You're like, oh, here's the National Hockey League. Let me tell you about my time interviewing there when I was at Subaru. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, I was happy. I guess I was proud of myself that I made it from the 300 they were talking to down to the last 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't know what they ever did, I never followed to see who they had hired.
Oh, but, look, the once or twice that I came within spitting distance of something, I was like, I suppose I was pleased because the entire process is so mind-numbingly horrific. Yeah. All right, we're going to leave it there, folks. I guess you can sum it up by saying any of the tricks you think you're doing with LinkedIn or Indeed or your resume, I think it's going to come down in the end to networking, would you say, Tim? Even that's harder these days?
Networking, she said she struggled with even networking, but I think networking is your first step or your first start. And and then maybe having to say to yourself, somebody said or someone said to me, in this case, you're looking for a job, you're not looking for a career.
Oh,
you're not looking to climb the ladder, you're not looking to be the next president or CMO or something, you're just looking for a job. You'll find a job. Don't expect you're going to find a new career. Which I thought was kind of wah, wah, wah. But
I remember when you told me that.
Probably true.
And it's actually an interesting thing to set the bar differently. You just need a paycheck and you need it for a couple of years. And at that point, well, how exciting. All right.
On a happy note.
We're going to leave it there. We want to thank you for joining us here on the Focus Group. We know you have a lot of podcasts to choose from, and we're very happy you choose ours. FocusGroupRadio.com is our site. You can learn about us there, including our Tuesday podcast, TFG Unbuttoned. 20 minutes, 3 stories that we think you should know, and you'll be happy you do once you listen. We like to say, as Tim started back on the serious days, please don't text and drive, arrive alive. We were behind a car the other day. The car slowed down, started to drift towards the rumble strip, and Bob's like, I think he's on the phone. Like, I was like,
doing Wordle.
As we drove by, the guy's head was down, looking at a phone, and you're driving a car, for God's sakes. Anyway, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and that means if you stay alive, we're going to see you here next week on the Focus Group. So have a good one.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.